It's official. Taylor Sheridan's Dutton Ranch has been renewed for a second season with a new showrunner. So this isn't the last we'll see of Beth and Rip in their new Texan home. After a fairly strong season of this Yellowstone sequel, we've arrived at a finale in which simmering tensions between the Dutton Ranch and the 10-Petal Ranch finally boil over. And somehow, Carter finds himself stuck in the middle of the drama. The episode opens with Beth and Rip surveilling a new load of cows at the 10-Petal Ranch. Beth is looking fab in that cowboy hat, by the way. It's a row when Rob Will zooms onto the property and starts threatening them both, demanding they vacate the premises. Rip won't budge, since technically Beulah is still in charge of the 10-Petal. Rob Will informs him and his little bitch that they need to leave regardless. A single insult hurled in Beth's direction earns Rob Will a fist to the face, which leads to a scuffle. Rip, of course, wins the fight in the end. Does Rip ever lose a fight, really? With the help of Rob Will's tally book and a list of cows marked with Doctor on arrival, the couple peel away a group of cows they suspect could be involved in Beulah's smuggling business. Over at the Dutton Ranch, they invite Everett to do some digging around in the cows' sutured wounds, in which the vet discovers packaged fentanyl. They're drug mules. Even if they're not, of course, literally mules. Beth, Rip, Everett, and company end up pulling out 3 buckets of drugs, worth at least $2 million, from the group of cows. They're in shock. What is the big-picture reality of what they're confronting here? Is this how Beulah has managed to keep the ranch afloat? Everett heads off to get some answers, and Beth heads off to find Carter, who is MIA. Rip stays behind with Zach and Azul, who are both warned to get home before things get ugly. But they're loyal cowboys, dedicated to standing their ground with Rip and protecting the ranch by his side. Beulah has pretty much fully recovered from her heart attack and subsequent angioplasty by the time Everett arrives to confront her, and he's pissed. Beulah comes out with the full story almost immediately. The smuggling business actually has old roots. It links back to when she was 16 and Mariano helped her bury the body of the man who assaulted her. What we didn't know until now is that her father did eventually find out about the assault, and he blamed it on Mariano, who made a deal with him. Mariano would take responsibility for the murder and disappear to Mexico, leaving his son, the motherless baby Joaquin, behind for Beulah to care for. That's quite an exposition dump, but wait, there's more. Everett asks the right question here. What does any of this have to do with the drug mules? As it turns out, a drought brought tough times to 10-Petal 15 years ago, so Joaquin and Mariano offered up drug smuggling as an option, and up until now it's been going smoothly. Beulah also admits she's been wanting to find a way out of the deal forever, and hoped Beth and Rip might be the key. What a mess. After having lied to his face until now, Everett kicks Beulah out. Like many situationships before them, it seems this one, too, will be short-lived. Meanwhile, a convoy led by Mariano, Raul Max Trujillo, arrives in town. He was apparently at a fancy baptism in Mexico when his son called, but he dropped everything to help Joaquin. Father and son meet at a motel, and Joaquin brings Mariano up to speed about Rob Will taking over the 10-Petal, plus Beth and Rip's involvement. Mariano then heads off to meet Beulah at her mansion, and they have quite the argument. He accuses her of having raised weak sons and critiques her decision to hire outsiders on the ranch. His demands are that Joaquin is instated as the head of the ranch, and that Beth and Rip are fired immediately, or else. To make matters worse, once they're alone, Mariano asks Joaquin to kill Rob Will. As all of this chaos goes down, Beth is still playing a game of Find Carter. She can't reach him by phone, and he's not at Arena's. She even stops by Sheriff Wade's office to file a missing persons report. Little does she know Wade just saw the boy at Dwight's the other night, but he chooses not to tell her that. In fact, Carter is still at Dwight's, drinking beer and trying to figure out his next move. Arena, who just found out she's pregnant, shows up to pay him a visit. Carter finally gets the chance to apologize for his shenanigans at the party, and Arena convinces him to give Beth a call to let her know he's okay. Carter and Arena, lovebirds once again, make a plan to skip town and run away together that very night. Beth, who apparently loves nothing more than running around town, decides she wants to find Beulah. She shows up at the 10-Petal cow processing facility where she first had her confrontation with Denise, the front desk admin, back at the start of the season. Bypassing Denise, suck a dick Denise, she storms into the facility but can't find much of anything, neither cows nor Beulah. Tommy, one of the ranch hands, tries to put his hand on Beth to stop her, before turning around to find Rip. Another punched-out cowboy to add to the roster today. The newly unconscious cowboy gets strung up like a cow ready for slaughter, and the couple head out after they get a call from Zachariah. Beulah just showed up at the Dutton Ranch. Arriving at the ranch, Beth doesn't hesitate to point her shotgun at Beulah's head. They take the chat inside while Azul and Zachariah load up her car with the fentanyl. Despite all the drama, Beth and Rip reveal they merely want a clean exit out of this mess. Remember when they just wanted a peaceful life? They're paying a high cost for it now. Beulah is just driving off when they receive a threatening call from Mariano, asking for the very drugs now in her trunk. We're in for a classic Yellowstone shootout. At nightfall, everyone at Dutton Ranch is loading up their guns and preparing for this convoluted showdown. Firmly believing Carter might be in danger, Beth leaves the men to fend for themselves and heads off to find her adopted son again. Goodness, maybe they should just leave him be at this point. The cameras pick up a few of Mariano's men in the bushes, but Rip, Zachariah, Azul, and Everett are well prepared. A firefight breaks out, and the men make quick work of the invaders. Rip chases after one straggler who tries to get away, capturing him for interrogation while the rest of the bodies are dumped in the mine shaft. As I'd predicted, this is the new train station. Beth, despite her best efforts, still can't find Carter. Arena, back at the 10-Petal, packs her bags to prepare for her great escape with Carter. But Rob Will stumbles in on her, and he initiates a heart-to-heart about his inferior parenting skills. Is this too little too late? For Orina, hearing her father actually express his feelings is nevertheless enough to make her shed a tear. But this is a Sheridan project, after all. Right after this tender moment, Robwill walks downstairs and is shot dead. The assailant runs off before we can see who is responsible, though we can probably safely assume it was Joaquin, acting on his father's orders. Orina and Beulah, when she gets home, are both left in shock and dismay. I, for one, don't mind the end of the road for Robwill. He was by far the least sympathetic character on this show. Anyway, it turns out Beth's motherly instinct was correct. In the last few minutes of the finale, Mariano's goons capture Carter. Via phone, they inform Beth of their hostage while Rip interrogates his own hostage from the attempted raid. They don't want Carter, they want us, Rip tells Beth. Then they're gonna fucking get us, she replies. And that's where the season ends, on a cliffhanger. This is frustrating on a few levels. First of all, Carter's insistence on being a brat is what landed him in such deeply predictable trouble. Second, why hasn't Beulah delivered the drugs to Mariano yet? Wouldn't that clear up this whole situation? I suppose the train of violence has already left the station. Mariano must want the Dutton ranch wiped from the board, so he can maintain continuity of the drug smuggling operation. But I'm keen to see the Dutton ranch crew remedy this situation. As we know, if there's anyone you don't want to mess with in this universe, it's Beth and Rip.